Which is better, growing in soil or hydroponically? The honest answer is, it depends on your goals, your constraints, and your skill set. Today, we'll compare them fairly, but I'll show you why hydroponics is a strong solution for sustainable agriculture when it's designed and managed correctly.
Soil does four big things for a plant. It supplies water, supplies nutrients, supplies oxygen to roots, and supports the plant physically. Hydroponic systems must do those exact same four jobs, just without soil. The big difference is control. Hydroponics can be extremely precise, which is powerful if you know what you're doing, and risky if you don't. That's why education is key. In soil farming, water comes from rainfall and irrigation, drip, sprinklers, pivots, you name it. But the effectiveness of irrigation depends heavily on soil texture and structure. Soils are made of three particle size classes: sand, silt, and clay. Sandy soils, like much of Florida, have large particles and large pore spaces, so water drains quickly, and the soil holds less available water. Clay soils have tiny particles and many small pores, so they can hold a lot of water, but some of it is tightly bound and less available to plants. Loam, a balanced mix of sand, silt, clay, plus organic matter, tends to hold water while still draining and allowing airflow. In other words, good soil can be excellent, but soil is inherently variable.
In hydroponics, specifically recirculating or closed systems, plants get consistent access to water, and unused solution is captured and reused. Losses are largely limited to plant uptake and evaporation. That's why sources often report up to 90% lower water use compared with conventional soil-based production, though the exact savings depend on the crop and the system design.
The downside: if waterborne root pathogen gets into a shared recirculating system, it can spread fast. Research in controlled environments document pathogens like Pythium and Fusarium moving through recirculating nutrient solutions. Best protection is layered: strong sanitation, filtration and disinfection where appropriate, and maintaining healthy root zone conditions, including sufficient dissolved oxygen.
Here's a key scientific point. There's no magical soil nutrient that hydroponic plants will miss out on. In both systems, plants primarily absorb nutrients as inorganic ions in water. In soil, nutrients come from mineral weathering and decomposition, then move into the soil solution where roots absorb them. In hydroponics, we provide those same ions directly in nutrient solution.
Plants require carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, mainly from air and water, plus a set of mineral elements. These 12 mineral elements are categorized as macronutrients and micronutrients, broken up the way they are by the amount of the element required. We can see from the list that nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are at the top of the macronutrient list. These are the big three you will normally see on the label of a plant fertilizer denoted by NPK. However, the remaining macronutrients, magnesium, calcium, and sulfur, they're all also important. By contrast, the amounts of required micronutrients are much smaller. For example, a lettuce plant needs 150 milligrams per liter of nitrogen, but only 0.024 milligrams per liter of molybdenum. This amount is so small that basic tap water can sometimes provide sufficient amounts without any modification. Roots also need oxygen. The oxygen diffuses into root tissues and supports respiration, which powers root growth and nutrient uptake. In soil, oxygen availability depends on airspace within the soil and drainage. Loamy soils often provide good aeration, while waterlogged or compacted soils can starve roots of oxygen. In hydroponics, we engineer aeration. In a nutrient film technique known as NFT, we run a thin film of solution over the roots so they are exposed to both water and air. By contrast, deep water culture submerges roots so that the water itself must carry enough dissolved oxygen to prevent stress and disease.
Soil physically supports the plant and anchors the root system, but texture matters. Very sandy soils can be too loose to stabilize some crops, and heavy clays can resist root penetration. In hydroponics, we replace the soil support with system design. For example, in a nutrient film technique, we start seeds in a grow cube, like Rockwool or Oasis. So the cube holds moisture, provides airspace, and anchors the seedling. Once roots grow out of the cube, they access the nutrient solution directly, while the plant remains supported by the channel.
So, which is better? Soil farming is hard to beat for low energy use, ecological benefits, and simplicity, especially where you have great soil and reliable rainfall. However, hydroponics shines when water is limited, land is expensive, weather is unpredictable, or soil quality is poor. Hydroponics allows humans to grow plants outside normal environmental restrictions, making it a more sustainable option for many people. But hydroponics is not set and forget. It demands monitoring, sanitation, and importantly, education. When managed well, research shows strong gains in water efficiency, growth, and quality. Our goal here at Skybound Acres is to help you on that education journey.
To learn more about what it takes to grow hydroponically, subscribe to the channel, drop your questions below, and check us out at skyboundacres.com.